So hi everyone, my name is Matt Sullivan and I'm the co-founder of a Better Experience Software Group, or ABX for short. I'll go more into detail what we do shortly. But basically the theme of today's webinar is around growing your firm by using ABX to integrate apps like Bookkeep and Katana and to not steer away any clients just because they may be e-commerce sellers or they have advanced inventory requirements. Whenever I was at QuickBooks Connect conference in November, I met with several bookkeepers and accountants and was hearing some common themes that they were uncomfortable working with e-commerce sellers or companies that might manufacture or have very advanced inventory management processes. So our goal today is to explore some of the solutions that can help, as well as some strategies so that you can better serve these clients. We have an all-star lineup for today. So we're pleased to welcome our guests, Jason Richardson, CEO and co-founder of Bookkeep, as well as Sean Coultis, head of channel partnerships at Katana. And we're going to speak with them both here shortly. The agenda for today, again, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to attend this. We know that there's lots of different webinars and things that are fighting for your time. So thank you for joining us here. We're going to keep it pretty fast paced for today. We're going to dig deeper into some of the challenges that are facing bookkeepers and accountants when trying to help e-commerce sellers and companies with advanced inventory or manufacturing tracking requirements. We're going to talk about how Bookkeep can help solve e-commerce challenges. Then we're going to talk to Sean at Katana around tracking inventory and manufacturing, getting those costs and values. So I'm going to first dig into some of the challenges that we've been hearing. So some of these things, they might resonate with each of you. If these do sound familiar to you, don't worry. We're going to start with some of the doom and gloom, but we're going to discuss in more detail about how we can solve these challenges. So first up, lack of expertise in inventory management. So sure, tracking revenues, costs, and other financial data in your inventory management system is important, but there's many things outside of the financials to consider. So maybe your client has traceability requirements for a certification that they may have, which is important if they're in the food and beverage industry, for instance, or making sure that the system is going to work well with their picking and packing and shipping processes and their warehouse, or maybe they're working with external fulfillment centers. So being able to really understand all the requirements of what they would need to track in their inventory system, how it's going to work for them. Another challenge here is the complexity of e-commerce operations. So some challenges I've been hearing is, how do I reconcile various merchant fees with different e-commerce channels or different payment methods? How to stay compliant with tax authorities when there are so many different tax rates to consider? And also, what is the best way to get this data into their cloud accounting system, like QuickBooks Online or Xero? Another challenge is time and resource constraints. A lot of this stuff takes time to research. Who has the time to research? You get paid based on your billable hours. Well, that's a big challenge as well. How do you kind of make that time to be able to investigate these things further? Also, one big one that I've heard of companies turning away clients in these spaces is the risk of errors and the financial impact of those errors. So the fear of messing up essentially is not worth it sometimes for taking on some of these clients outside of your comfort zone. And inadequate tools or software. What I mean by this is, maybe your client is coming to ask you for help with something like managing inventory, and you may not know the right tool that can help. Or you don't want to recommend something that's going to be inadequate for their needs and then lead them down a bad path. Also, a challenge here is with integrations. So with e-commerce and inventory apps, they all need to sync together in order to get accurate financial data. And without proper integration set up, there could be messy data in different pockets that might seem impossible to reconcile. Okay, we talked through the challenges. Now let's talk through more of the solutions. So first off, I want to give a little bit of context and background about my company. Um, so, as mentioned, I'm the co-founder of a Better Experience Software Group, or ABX for short. And my background includes 15 years in the cloud software industry, with a large focus on inventory management software. I've been in various roles at Trade Gecko, an inventory management system, which was acquired by Intuit in 2020. And my last role before starting ABX was the head of sales at Katana, which we'll learn more about today. And my former colleague at Katana, his name's Chris Jacobs, him and I, we started ABX in order to help small to medium sized businesses find the right inventory management software for their requirements, making sure that the app fits their processes, that it can integrate with the other key systems that they're using, and make sure that we're essentially helping them reach their business goals or solving their business problems. And one thing I'll mention is that we are software agnostic. So we're a partner of various different software apps because it's not one size fits all. Each tool kind of has their specialties, their pros and cons, slightly different feature sets, may perform better for different industries than others, things like this. So we help to navigate through the sea of seemingly endless options to find the right tool for the job. And we can help in a few different ways. So we offer free tech stack assessments and recommendations. So if you have a client that needs some help figuring out the right inventory or order management software, then you can book a meeting with us through our website at abx.group, and we'll offer a consultation at no charge. And we're going to help you find the right solution tech stack for your client. We also offer hands-on implementation and training services. So we can help your client get their data prepared in order to import it into their new system. We can help them basically get everything set up properly from the get-go and train their team members on how they're going to use the system based off of their specific role. And we can offer our implementation and training services remotely, which we do a lot of the time, or we'll also go on site if that's needed. And also, we help integrate software apps together so that pertinent information and data is syncing back and forth with the tools that they're using to avoid bottlenecks, ensuring accurate reporting, and basically, which will help them lead to make better business decisions. And we can use low code solutions such as Zapier or Make.com, as well as doing more complex integrations through like API custom development. Now, that's enough of talking about me for right now. I'm going to pass the spotlight over here to Jason at Bookkeep to tell us a little bit more about Bookkeep.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. So I started Bookkeep several years ago. We actually started as an accounting firm with a focus in New York. We were doing restaurants and e-commerce clients. And what we realized is that there's a lot of apps for automating accounting. The one place that things fall down is the app integration between sales platforms, payment platforms, and QuickBooks or Xero. That a lot of apps out there would build a direct integration. Square is a great example. They built a direct integration working with QuickBooks, and pretty much every accountant can't stand that direct integration because it made a mess of their book. It doesn't handle all of the financial transactions. And so we are probably the biggest out there in terms of the amount of connections that we have, over 60 e-commerce and payment platforms that we connect with. And what we do is we help normalize that data. Sales data, whether it's Shopify, whether it's coming from PayPal or it's coming from Square, generally is accounting data. It needs to be summarized properly based off of accrual accounting methods and posted as summary data to your accounting platform, because your front end systems, your inventory systems, your sales systems like a Shopify or a Square, all of those tools have all your detail, is your front office tool that your team's using. And in the end, just proper accrual summary data needs to get into your accounting platform to make sure that your accounting platform matches up with your front end system. So we do that across all the big platforms out there, and we post daily sales summaries. And for most platforms, we'll also post the summary, the payment deposit information as a journal entry, so it will match in your banking feed. And we also then capture all the dirty details that they hide. I say dirty details, but generally your deposits are net of fees, net of loans, net of adjustments, net of special things that they just come up with For instance, Square charges an app fee when you take an order through the Square platform, and that just comes out of your deposit, and it's not very clear in any of their reporting what's going on there. So we find all that stuff to make sure that you have the ability as an accountant to properly book all those fees, all those deductions, properly book revenue from gross sales, discounts, returns. You're not booking your payment deposits as revenue because we all know that that's an incorrect way and it's not proper accrual accounting. So when you use Bookkeep, you have a system that is going to take data from any sales platform. So as an accountant who's afraid of retail or e-commerce, we are really your tech team and your support team of controllers with a software platform that can pull all that data into proper accounting numbers and automatically post it every night into your accounting system. I'll stop there because I can go on forever, but that's basically what we do.
Wow. So solving lots of problems for the bookkeepers and accountants that are dealing with the e-commerce sellers. What would you say are kind of the main problems, or like what's a telltale sign that a bookkeeper should be looking at Bookkeep?
Well, in general, I mean, if any of your clients are using Square or Shopify or PayPal, you should be looking at using Bookkeep. Using Bookkeep is much cheaper. You can either have your client pay for it or you can pay for it at a wholesale rate. It's going to be cheaper than you doing the work yourselves. Even when yes, you can type in summary data at the end of the month, but when you do that, you're not giving your client really accurate books where they can do month over month, day over day comparison. You're not also doing a proper reconciliation, and reconciliation is inherent in what we do. We make sure that your payment deposit, once grossed back up, will match in a clearing account to the revenue numbers so that you're getting the full picture of what's going on in the business. Yes, you can just take those deposits from Square and book them as income, but of course you're making, that's inaccurate accounting. It's cash based and it's not giving your client proper reporting. So really, any client that's in retail, e-commerce, or restaurant can use Bookkeep, and we have a partner program as well that can help you. Basically, no matter what your clients are using, we probably have a connector for it, and we can help you basically streamline this whole part of accounting.
Wow, that sounds great. So what would be kind of Bookkeep's target market in terms of like size of business? And are there, you mentioned
Yeah.
the sales channels that they're selling on, but is there anything else in terms of like key industries or company size that
Mhm.
works best with you guys?
We really shine with, believe it or not, 50 million and up to 100 million in revenue e-commerce providers, e-commerce stores, retailers, because at that point it becomes really much more complicated. They want to book their revenue also. They have to book it on an accrual standpoint. We do have the ability to book Shopify revenue based off of fulfillment dates on an accrual basis. And so those more sophisticated, I shouldn't, they're sophisticated, but they're bigger stores and then they have higher requirements. However, if they're a Square we work with a lot of Square locations. A lot of, we have Toast, we have Mind Body. So we have smaller businesses, brick and mortars that are, 250 in revenue to 1 million in revenue. It's very cost effective to use Bookkeep at that level. And one thing that I forgot to mention on the previous slide is that we are also an Avalara partner. So once you've connected your clients to Bookkeep, we have all the sales tax data that was collected. We know all the amounts, the revenue, the tax collected, the tax rate collected, and we can turn on our feature where we can use Avalara to file and pay your sales tax automatically through Bookkeep. So that is something that we can do for Shopify sellers who are selling and shipping to multiple states, as well as a restaurant using Square or Toast. We can also do that for them as well.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. So that covers really a lot of the problems that I've been hearing in terms of how to reconcile the merchant fees, all the different sales channels, and also
Yep.
make sure all their tax rates are compliant with authorities and all of that. So
It,
very cool.
yeah. One thing I'll say, just to step back, is that revenue account, the reason we started this company is that revenue accounting is usually an afterthought when most accountants and bookkeepers, whether in-house or out of house, all day long are dealing with, I got to pay the bill. I gotta, this vendor invoice is incorrect. And now I got to trace back what the heck I'm supposed to pay. Or I got to do payroll. I didn't get time clock from the clients. I got to get their time clock. Somebody forgot to punch in. There's so much that goes on day to day. And obviously just dealing with the bank feed. Why did you take money out of the checking account? That when it comes time to booking revenue from sales systems, it's usually handled at the end of the month. And every time you pick something up once a month, it's always like, how did I do that again? It can take you a half an hour to an hour to just be like, oh, right, that's where I have to log into. Oh, shoot, I don't have the login anymore. They changed the password. Right. So you might think that it's something that I just do this once at the end of the month and it's fine. And you might if you only have 2 or 3 clients. But as you want to grow, you really want to have a partner. So who can just fully automate that for you, make sure those connections stay accurate, and make sure you're booking accurate daily entries. And you find that then you can build on top of that. With one of the things about Bookkeep as you're building your practice is that we do everything the same way. If you try and hire one person on your team and then you hire another person, you want to train them to do it exactly the same way. Anyone here who's run an accounting firm will know how hard that is to get your bookkeepers always doing it in the same way. So our automation books everything the same way. So even if your team members change over time, the automation will continue to run the same way. And we also do train. We have a training program. We have a learning tool inside Bookkeep to teach revenue accounting. So it's kind of a platform you can build your business on as an accounting firm.
Yeah, very interesting. And yeah, I know, Jason, you're no stranger to this space. You'd previously founded ShopKeep, another solution in 2008, and which was acquired by Lightspeed POS a few years back. What led you to jumping into this new venture again with the Bookkeep here?
It really, I mean, I just like solving problems, sometimes too much, so I get caught up in the weeds. But I just found that in accounting, we started Bookkeep. We did start as an accounting firm. The original idea was to automate accounting. Accounting, to everyone who's on this webinar, I know how hard it is to be an accountant and deal with clients who are very demanding. And that was part of the problem, is like we can't be an automated accounting firm because no matter what, the clients are going to stop us in our tracks and require this and need this report. So we eventually figured out that this was a part of accounting that I happen to have a lot of background in, and understand. And so it really was a great, and there just really isn't a lot of people doing this right. There really isn't anyone doing this right with proper accrual accounting for sales platforms. So we kind of just sort of fell into the spot, and now we're definitely the leader in accounting across as many accounting platforms as we have. I'm
Wow.
sorry, as sales platforms as we have.
Yeah, very, very impressive. And one thing that I thought was interesting in one of our previous chats is, again, I see all sorts of different scenarios in terms of how bookkeepers and accountants want to have their information flowing into their accounting system. And one thing that was brought up when speaking with Bookkeep is this belief that all the order information, every single order does not need to be replicated in the accounting system. And kind of I hear that of, okay, should I have each sales order sync over, or what's the pros and cons with just having a daily order summary that's kind of feeding in at the end of the day? And if you're not having every order in your accounting system, how do you reconcile all this?
Well, the problem is, it's not so much recently, but is that Intuit will tell you they want all the orders in their accounting platform. And I actually started going back before, when I was at ShopKeep, I built our accounting integration to QuickBooks online, and we built it as a summary integration. And after I left Bookkeep and moved on to do other things, Intuit connected with ShopKeep and asked them to change it to a order level, item level integration and post every transaction to QuickBooks, which they did. And I couldn't believe that happened. But Intuit wants you to post all the data in. Now, accountants know that QuickBooks can become a mess, depending on the volume of transactions you're doing. It depends on the business. We have clients doing 4,000 orders a day. You do not want that data in QuickBooks. it can be nice to have that data in QuickBooks, but it will mess up your reports. It'll mess up your drill down. And if one thing doesn't sync for some reason, good luck trying to reconcile that. So it's much better to get summary financials, to use your inventory system as a subledger, to use your sales system as a subledger, to move general, summarized journal entries into your accounting platform. Make sure that those are syncing. Make sure that your balance sheet is matching, your inventory in your Katana matches the balance sheet account in your QuickBooks on a monthly basis or a daily, weekly basis, to make sure everything's in sync. But keeping the subledger in your front end systems, which are better at handling the detail, at dealing with customers, at dealing with items, and are faster in iteration. The inventory system of QuickBooks Online is fine for smaller businesses, but it really doesn't scale well. And even some of the front end platforms, as we know, Shopify has inventory, but it's not going to really scale to, you're also not just selling on Shopify generally. So you definitely, we're a big believer in using your accounting platform as the general ledger, and the sub ledgers are in your front end systems, which, by the way, you can swap out. If something doesn't work, you use a different tool, but you're still, QuickBooks is your foundation, or Xero, or NetSuite, Sage, etc. But ideally, you're handling the detail in the detail platform.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and we have a recent client that was implemented with Bookkeep and quite satisfied, and basically helps to keep everything clean in their QuickBooks Online account. But they do have that ability to export, to kind of dig in deeper on like the order level if they need to,
Mhm.
but they don't need all that information flowing into
Yeah,
and basically duplicated in
we
accounting.
post attachments. Yeah, we post attachments with the backup data for the summaries that we post. So when you see that journal entry, summarized journal entry, there'll be attachments there that have all the order data, all the tax data. So if you need to troubleshoot, and sometimes, by the way, not with Shopify, there are user errors that can occur that need to be troubleshot, where maybe an order was closed out without a payment method. And so we provide that data so the accountants can help us also troubleshoot that data as well, as much as possible. And sometimes, by the way, Shopify just released a new feature where they're giving, it's called Shopify Shop Cash Reward, or Shop Cash Promotion, I believe is what it is. And they hide all of the transaction data in their deposits under adjustments. We figured out a way that we're going to be able to pull that out so that we can post it accurately. But a lot of times this stuff happens and the accounts are like, what's going on here? Why is my deposit less than I expected it to be, or more than I expected it to be, and it doesn't match? Well, because stuff changed on the Shopify side. So we do post that data to help you reconcile or help you troubleshoot some of those things with us. But also, you need a team that's always keeping on top of these changes.
Yes, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for this overview. Again, we do have a pack session here, so we're going to switch gears here, and we're going to speak to Sean here at Katana. So, Sean, can you give us a little bit of an overview around Katana?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Matt, for having me on. And excuse me, Jason, it was really interesting hearing you kind of chat through how in these e-commerce businesses, bringing over the revenue side helps keep the accounting accurate, but also not overwhelming the accounting system. And one of the things we often hear from accountants and bookkeepers that we're working with is that's certainly one of the challenges that they're looking to address. But on the other side of that same order is the COGS, the cost of goods sold. How do they get that cost of goods sold over to their accounting platform and keep their inventory in sync so that their balance sheet is accurate? And so that's really what Katana helps to address. So by integrating that cost of goods sold, which we're gathering within the inventory solution in Katana, with the accounting platform, be it QuickBooks Online or Xero, that helps ensure that your balance sheet stays accurate and you're accounting for your costs appropriately and understanding what your profitability is as a company accurately. One of the things that we hear with businesses often and accountants that we're working with is they really don't know how profitable they are until a month and a half after they've actually gone through a period, so a full month. And so you can imagine, as a business owner, trying to make financial decisions of where you're taking your business when you don't really know how profitable you are as a company. And so one of the things that Katana can help address is not only providing visibility on a day-by-day basis in their accounting solution as far as how profitable that company is, but being able to then look into the detail and categorize that profitability. How profitable are we per sales channel? Or how profitable are we by category or individual product or by even the individual customer? So it really helps you understand that cost of goods sold, and as it relates to your business decisions and looking at where do you want your business to go into the future? Where do you want to invest your marketing dollars? When I did implementation, so I've been in the inventory space and manufacturing for about the last 15 years, and I used to do implementations. And at one point, I got a company up and running, and we were live for about 2 months. And so we come back in, 2 months after getting them up and running and live, and we ran sort of a profitability report by customer. And I'm working with the owner's son, and the owner's son goes, "This report's wrong." I said, "Oh, why is it wrong?" He's like, "It shows that we have negative profitability with this customer. That's our biggest customer. Most of our revenue comes from that customer." And so they were bending over backwards for this company, and trying to make sure that they were always, delivering things on time and changing the priority of their shop floor. Meanwhile, all that work led to the business being unprofitable with that individual customer. And so they had to make some changes, right? And so that's what an inventory solution can help you do, is really understand where your costs are at on an individual basis. And as an accountant or a bookkeeper, you can really add so much more value now to your business, to the owner's business, by helping them understand, where they're profitable, as well as how much inventory they're carrying on hand. One of the things that we see businesses do is they carry just in case inventory. So there's sort of two, a common inventory methodology where they might say, well, let's carry, just in time inventory. It's a Toyota way, where inventory doesn't sit long. It's going to be utilized almost immediately on the job that it's intended for, or being shipped out to a customer. Whereas when you walk into most companies that manage or carry inventory, they have just in case inventory, which means that they're probably carrying too much. And so you can, again, think of businesses and all the costs that they have that they're working with. By tying up a significant amount of financial resource into inventory, sure, you may be able to fulfill any order that comes in, but are you able to invest that money into growing the business, to increasing efficiencies within the company by investing in marketing dollars? And so what Katana can help you do is help ensure that they're carrying the right amount of inventory by forecasting out sales and ensuring that those forecast numbers relate not only to the finished goods that you're carrying in-house, but also the raw materials that you might be carrying. So that's really that real-time inventory aspect, where we're looking at your demand, pulling it in from multiple sales channels, as well as your forecasted sales, to help ensure that the business is carrying the right amount of inventory based on that demand. They're not carrying too much and they're not carrying too little. And so that's a really important factor that Katana helps do. So keeping your cost of goods accurate on your financial system, and pulling that information in from the inventory solution, and then helping you ensure your client's business is carrying the right amount of inventory in-house, so that they're not tying up too much cash within their inventory. And one of the things we hear consistently is from accountants and bookkeepers is there's a lot of solutions in the market, but they're just too complicated. I can't get this thing up and running with my client. And we were working with a large accounting firm recently, and they had sort of done an analysis of the different inventory solutions. And they came to the conclusion that the number one feature that they were looking for in an inventory solution was ease of use. And when you look at Katana and explore the solution, the intuitive nature of the product really is focused around that ease of use and ensuring that the end user can utilize the platform. Because if your clients can't use the platform, it's not going to help your financials. And so let's ensure that the clients are being armed with a tool that they can actually utilize and that can actually benefit then your job and how you're servicing your client.
Excellent. And I guess I hear sometimes that, there's overlap, right? There's some inventory tracking that can be done in their accounting system. Perhaps there's some inventory and order management tracking that can be done in their e-commerce channel that they're selling on. What are kind of the areas of like why they need an inventory software, basically in general? What can it do above and beyond what these other systems are currently doing?
Yeah, that's a great point, Matt. And I think Jason kind of nailed it when he was talking about the business size and the volume of that business. And so if it's a fairly simple business, maybe they're under, say, 500,000 in annual revenue, and they're buying stuff and they're selling it. So it's fairly straightforward. They maybe do the sale through one channel. They really probably don't need an inventory solution for that. They can do that in QuickBooks Online pretty well. Where an inventory solution starts to add value to a company is when they start to require more advanced inventory things. So one might be manufacturing. So do they produce a finished product from multiple components or raw materials? So if that's the case, that's not something you'd be able to do in QuickBooks Online or any financial platform very well. And that's something that an inventory solution should be able to do quite easily in helping them manage their finished goods as well as their raw material, and then capture the operational cost as well and rolling that into your cost of goods sold. So that's another big area where an inventory solution might be required. Another reason might be that they sell through multiple sales channels. So they're not only selling through maybe a point of sale or maybe just Shopify, they're selling through Amazon, Shopify, Etsy, and through these multiple sales channels, it brings complexity into managing their inventory and then keeping that inventory accurate across those multiple sales channels, so that when a client goes to that Shopify store, the inventory that they see available for them to buy is accurate. And so that's another area where an inventory solution can help that business manage their availability of inventory across those sales channels.
Okay, perfect. And then we're getting towards the end here. So maybe in like 30 seconds, Sean, could you tell me what information, what kind of data would sync from Katana to cloud accounting software like QuickBooks Online and Xero? And how does that work?
Yeah, so in 30 seconds, I'll explain a very short, I guess, overview of the integration. So we have a customizable integration, actually, which our team can help set up. So if they're a high volume e-commerce company, we're probably just going to integrate the cost of goods sold and your purchase orders over to QuickBooks Online, because the revenue is going to flow through Bookkeep over to the accounting platform. If they're a lower volume business and maybe they're more B2B, we will send over the sales order to an invoice, and in that we would include your revenue, your sales, your cost of goods sold, all within that transaction. So if they're a lower volume business, we can actually handle the revenue side. But if they're higher volume and there's really too many transactions to dump into, that's when we're going to do a customizable setup where you can just push over that cost of goods sold and your purchase order to a bill within QuickBooks Online, and we're going to use Bookkeep in that workflow.
Wow, we're solving all the problems here. Look at this. Look at us.
It's a match made in heaven.
Exactly. So just to kind of put all this together here today, again, the topic was to stop turning away clients just because they're selling on e-commerce, just because they're dealing with advanced inventory requirements, or maybe they manufacture. So I hope that today was able to inspire you to embrace innovation, expand your possibilities. So let's look at the power of integration. So here's a few ways that integrated software tools can help you with your clients. You can streamline your processes. So utilizing advanced tools like Bookkeep and Katana can transform the complex web of inventory management and e-commerce into a streamlined, efficient process, allowing you to serve your clients more effectively. and you can expand your expertise. So these tools offer a gateway to deepen your knowledge and expertise in areas that are increasingly in demand, which can then set you apart in a very competitive market, as well as enhance client satisfaction. So by offering comprehensive solutions that address the unique needs of inventory and e-commerce clients, you not only retain those clients, but you can also attract a broader client base for your firm. And as the path to growth, here's a few ways that you can grow your firm while also helping your clients growing their businesses as well. So innovation as a strategy, growing your firm by offering more innovative strategies for your clients, helping your clients grow their businesses by opening up new markets, by selling online, or helping them get better systems in place to be more efficient when it comes to inventory planning and order management. Investing in learning. So learning new apps, they can be a good investment of time so that you can feel more confident when working with these clients. There's so many methods for learning nowadays at your own time and pace. There's webinars such as this. There's tons of online videos, blog articles to tap into. So be sure to follow us as well as Bookkeep and Katana on LinkedIn and social media channels that you're on to stay informed, because also the landscape's always changing and these tools are always evolving as well. And I'll also mention partnerships for success. So maybe you're sitting here and saying, "Oh, this is a lot of information," and you know, I don't want to, I can't know all of this overnight. And you don't have to. You don't have to know all of these things yourself. You can partner, collaborate with companies like us at ABX to help you bring in expertise, so that you can feel more comfortable and strong in these areas that maybe you're a bit lacking or new on. We're going to end today's webinar. So thank you so much, Jason and Sean, for joining us today.
Mhm.
Also, for people joining, thank you so much for joining. Please give us feedback on today's webinar. We want to know if you found it valuable, or also if you have any criticisms. There's a lot of webinars out there, so we want to make sure that this is a good use of everyone's time. Also, if you're watching this and you're thinking, yeah, I like the idea of Bookkeep syncing over the revenues to accounting, and I also like the idea of Katana syncing the cost of goods sold over to accounting, and reach out to us, and then we can talk about how we can get all of this in sync your sales, sync your cost of goods sold, and avoid all these challenges that we talked about today. So thank you very much for your time. Greatly appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next one.